Whoa, who let you in here? Welcome. Today we're going to be tying one of my favorite flies, the surf candy. Let's get right into it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
All right, let's crack into it. 1/0 big game hooks, 1/4 inch stick-on eyes, going gold here. Bill's body braid or a flat diamond braid, whatever this thing is. Bucktail, UV resin. I use solar res. Super glue. All right, so we got some thread laid down on the hook. Now first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of this body braid here, and you can see nice flat pearl body braid. You can go with silver or gold, whatever floats your boat. We'll tie this off, wrap it back behind the hook point just a little, and then we're just going to neatly wrap that forward. All right, we'll go with some bucktail. Now you don't have to use the best bucktail you have when you're tying these, because we are going to be essentially covering the whole body with UV resin, but I'm going to go with a pretty generous amount here, probably about a pencil width's worth of white bucktail here for the belly. We'll get all the smaller hairs out of the way here. This fly is just going to be about 3 inches long. Take that and kind of tightly wrap that, and also not go too far back. We're going to try and keep the thread management, kind of make sure it's nice and neat. We'll take our Magnum Flashabou here. You could take this, take a couple strands and just fold this over. If you'd like, you can take it, cut it in half, and then do so. You can kind of double the amount because it is extremely long. We'll take that and tie that on like so on top of the hook. So now when I'm tying these, a lot of times I like tying them with 2 colors on top. So for instance, if we had a tan, you can throw a little pink in there. Olive, you could throw pink. You could also go with some yellows. And you kind of experiment and just play around, but we're gonna go with a little bit of pink bucktail here, not too much, just to give it a little color underneath the olive wing. So again, same idea, I get the smaller hairs out of the way. Tie that in like so. So now we'll go with some olive bucktail. And it's okay if you add a little bit more bucktail to the top collars than you do the bottom. But try not to, you don't want to go too heavy with it. Because again, we're trying to either replicate a bay anchovy or more so a spearing is what I'm going for with this fly. Our inlets are loaded with spearing right now, and the bonito, Spanish mackerel, and albacore, I've been having a blast eating them up. We're gonna tie this, and again, all while trying to manage our thread wraps and keep it nice and neat. And you can see this bucktail isn't really the best bucktail. It's somewhat stiff, so it likes to flare. But the neat thing about, you know, these candies is that you don't have to use the best material. So again, we're gonna essentially glue this up, and it's going to serve its purpose. So you don't want to use all your good bucktail, save those for the hollow flies. All right, so now we're essentially done. You can add some lateral scale to the sides if you'd like we do with our synthetic surf candies. But these are generally how we tie these. Not too much flash, and they're pretty simple and pretty quick to bang out. So now we're gonna whip finish. Now where the super glue comes into play, if you've ever glued a bucktail surf candy before, right? What'll happen is you put the stick-on eye onto the fly and you apply the resin, and the eye will end up lifting off because that resin seeps into underneath the eye. So what we do is we're going to take a very, very light amount of super glue here, and we're just going to apply it right behind the thread wrappings. And then we'll take one of our 1/4 inch gold stick-on eyes here, and we're just gonna press that in on the super glue. And you can place the eyes wherever you feel like, you know. We are gonna be gluing the whole body with UV resin, so I kind of like leaving mine up front somewhat. Now what you can do is after that, you can kind of grab the hairs and pull them back, and then I just like to press down, make sure those eyes are nice and secure, and it kind of helps get that shape. All right, so while pulling the hair back, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with our thick resin. This is the pink bottle, the Solar Res Thick. We're gonna start off with a decent amount of this, and we're gonna lay foundation with it, and then we're going to hit it with the thin resin and fill all the gaps. All right, so gonna apply our resin on here, decent amount. You don't want to add too much, because again, we are adding another filler coat with the thin. And we're gonna cover this. Make sure to get behind the bend of the hook. You get a little gap back there. Always, you saw, you know, every once in a while a couple hairs may pull away. You can kind of reposition the bucktail if you need to, but try really not to let go of this right now with the resin on here, because it'll kind of just get out of control real quick. So now if you're satisfied, you take a look, everything looks pretty good to your standards. You can hit it on each side with the light real quick, and what that's going to do is that's going to cure the UV resin and hold everything in place. And now we can hit this with the light. I like to go for about 7 to 8 seconds on each side, and then hit the tops and bottom a little. You gotta be careful. You don't want to heat it up too much, i.e. leave the light in one place for too long. It'll actually cause yellowing in the UV resin. All right, so this is the thin, the blue bottle. Now, I don't know if you can see this here, but it isn't necessarily a perfect body here. There are some imperfections, some crevasses and whatnot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with our thin here, and we're just gonna go with a light layer around the whole thing. Now you can see I forgot to mention, I always extend the resin back past the bend of the hook. What that'll do is that'll stiffen up the bucktail and stop it from fouling while casting, which if you've ever been fishing for albies, everything seems to go wrong at once, so the least amount of problems the better. You want that fly nice and ready to go. Now you don't want to add too much of this stuff. I think that's probably as much as I want to add at the moment. We're going to take our bodkin here, which mine is actually an old jeweler's poker or something for like crafting jewelry, because I'm innovative like that, not because I'm cheap. And we're just going to spread that evenly. That looks pretty good. Hit that with the light real quick. Now I am going to add one more layer. I like to do it in little bits at a time, because if you add too much, a lot of times the resin will kind of either heat up or not get cured properly, and the resin will actually move around on the fly because the light will cure slowly and the resin will start to push away from the light. Plus it comes out a lot neater if you just go in 1 or 2 coats of the light here in light coats. Again, make sure you get back behind the bend of the hook. All right, perfect. Now for the last cure here, I always like to again start off by hitting it on each side a little. Then we're gonna go for 10 seconds while moving the light. Some lights actually strobe, go on and off, but at a faster rate to prevent overheating. But what I like to do is just keep it moving and rotate the vise slowly. And before I take this fly fishing, I will go stick it out in the sun if I can, because that's the best UV light you can use when it comes to curing this stuff. And then if it's cured properly, it should have no tackiness whatsoever. The great thing about the solar res is that you don't need to worry about tackiness. But still, I always go throw them in the sun just for good measure. Bomb chicka wow wow. Chicka chicka bomb chicka wow wow. Bomb chicka wow wow. Okay. Wait, I don't need to like do some intro. I'm already, you know. So that's that. Hopefully you enjoyed. It's Albi season. Spanish Max, Benito, popping up. Hopefully get out there. You can check out our website, lifliesmike.com. Check out our Twitch streams, twitch.tv/blockwizard. You can find these flies at fine places like the Saltwater Edge in Rhode Island. Until next time, see you later. Tight lines. All right, so while pulling the